Hello, welcome to this short follow the wire video on how to upgrade the firmware of HPE Gen10 Plus Ethernet adapters to get the new NPAR feature enabled. My name is Klaus Scholz and I will guide you through the configuration steps. First, what is NPAR and how to use? When it comes to server virtualization, multiple networks are required for storage traffic management, migration services, and more. This can greatly increase the complexity of the network design, requiring multiple adapters, cables, and lot of switch ports. To address this, network partitioning, or NPAR, can be implemented to virtualize a physical port on the adapter with 4 physical functions called PF. That makes a single 1025 gigabit physical port appear to the OS as if it is were 4 individual NICs. Important to know, all FastLink NICs can handle 8 PFs max for the entire adapter. The system administrator can carve up the available bandwidth of the physical port and provide dedicated bandwidth to each of the physical functions. Bandwidth can even be over-provisioned. That means that unused bandwidth from other local PFs can be used if bandwidth is available. In addition, with Marvell FastLink, NPAR works in conjunction with SRIOV to create a mini network within the physical server to support all the I/O needs for all the VMs that are deployed. Benefit for the customer, this reduces the number of cables and switch ports required, reducing the overall network complexity and lowering the total cost of ownership of the overall solution. First, let's see which Gen10 Plus adapters are installed in my test server. Under the physical network adapters, you see there is a 25 gigabit Ethernet adapter installed on the OCP3 slot, and there is one addition one. It's a QL41 134. That's a 10 gigabit SFP plus Ethernet adapter. And in the console window, I like to verify the configuration of the NPAR settings. And when I step to the OCP adapter first, you see the partition mode is set to default and you cannot change the partition mode to NPAR. But we like to change this, and doing that, we have to go to the Marvell landing page, marvell.com/HPE. And on this landing page are the new firmware and the new drivers available for the industry standard Ethernet adapters for the HPE portfolio. And you see download for HPE. We have 4 different kind of firmware packages. The firmware, the bin file only with release notes. We have the upgrade tool for Linux, for VMware, and for Windows. And in my case, I have just installed Windows 2019 on my server, and that's what I like to copy to my server to run the Windows QLogic upgrade batch file to install the new firmware. All right, the firmware is downloaded to my test server, and the zip file contains the README, the release notes, and the version document. And I like to extract all these files on the x64 folder to my temp directory. And here we go. In this console window, I like to show, okay, the files are extracted. I opened this console window with administrator rights. And the only thing you have to do is you have to execute the winco logic upgrade batch file. I do this in this console window because then you see all the messages after the installation is finished. And yeah, I started the upgrade. It's working. And you see, we have 2 ports of the OCP, which is on the way to upgrade. And we have the quad port adapter as well. And from this point, everything works automatically. And let's see what happens after a couple of seconds. All right. So the firmware update was successful. And I forgot actually to mention that normally in the SPP, there is the new firmware embedded as well. So you can use HP Sum to use the SPP for make an upgrade for the complete server for all the components. But in my case, I use just Windows as an example, and I use this just as a standalone upgrade procedure. So let's have a look after the next server reboot, how the adapter appears, shows up in ILO, and let's reboot the server. After hitting F9 to enter the system utilities, we have to configure the NPAR partition on our Ethernet adapters. So in our example, I like to jump to the first 10 gigabit port. As I said, this is a quad port adapter, and we have to enable NPAR, and that's on the partitioning mode. The second step here is go to the partition configuration, and you see only one PF is available for a physical port. And I have to enable this with the Ethernet personality. So in summary, we have a 4-port adapter. We have 8 PFs. That means only 2 PFs for each physical Ethernet port. So, and the next step is to have a look, to have an insight in the global bandwidth allocation. And here you can configure the minimum bandwidth and the maximum bandwidth. And if you ignore any configuration here, it's like it will be shared gently. That means if bandwidth is available, you can use up to 100% of the 10 gigabit link. If both PFs are running on heavy load, so they share the bandwidth for 50% each. And I like to recommend to use the bandwidth allocation as it is. That's the best practice. So it's more dynamic, it's more flexible. If bandwidth is needed, yeah, use the full bandwidth on the port. All right, there are no changes on that side. And we have to do this then on all the other ports as well. But this is just the first time. And let's see what happens if I have configured all the PFs in the server in the operating system. The server is up again, and I like to show you how many Ethernet adapters we can see right now in the server. And Here is the table, and we see for the OCP adapter, we see in the operating system 8 physical functions. That's what I have expected. And on the quad-port Ethernet adapter, we see as well 8 physical functions. Important to know is that with this firmware update, you are upgrading only the industry standard Ethernet adapters. All the other Ethernet adapters in the system are not upgradable with this firmware because it's not supported from HPE. So on summary, let's say first, download the latest firmware from marvell.com/HPE. Run the firmware updates in the OS. Configure NPAR by pressing F9 on the start process and upgrade and make the settings in the system utilities. And lastly, verify Ethernet ports in the OS to be ready for the next steps. And I like to say thank you very much for watching this short video and see you next time. Bye bye.